All right, welcome back, everyone. We're having another Q&A session this week. We have a lot of great people in the green room waiting to ask their questions, and hopefully you do as well. So anything I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your local physician or your competent doc. See if any of this stuff makes sense or not. All right, let's dive right in.
Okay, let's do dive right in. Many times we go to social media and all that, but this time we have Teresa who's going to work soon, and she's in South Carolina, so we wanted to make sure that she got on the air. And Teresa, if you're unmuted, go ahead with your one question for Dr. Berg.
Hi, Dr. Berg. My one question for you is how do I stop the extreme life altering itch that I'm experiencing all over my body?
Did you happen to see my recent video on itching?
So I've seen tons of your videos. I'm not sure which one specifically.
You're in luck because I just released something, so it's fresh in my mind. Let's talk about itching because there could be several causes. It sounds like yours is systemic, so it's all over the place, right? Yeah. Um, there's the usual itching that comes from some type of microbial something like it could be like I don't know, scabies or all these different dust, you know, bed bugs, things like that. But those are usually not the problem if it's systemic. It's usually something coming from internal. Pruritus is the name, and probably the most likely reason is because there's something going on with a backup with your bile ducts. Now, do you have any type of digestive issue at all?
So I'm not sure what you mean by digestive
Mm.
issue. I have
Bloating.
no bloating, history of severe allergies, eczema. I need the EpiPen, anaphylaxis. I had topical steroid withdrawal and history of a lot of prednisone use.
Oh, so this is a little different. Because, when you have long-term steroid use, you develop something called cortical resistance, and that can create a similar to insulin resistance, where your body doesn't receive the benefits of the normal amount of cortisol, which means that I think one big, function of, steroids is to help get rid of things like itching, inflammation, immune reactions. So, do you have any type of, anything going on with the digestion though, like after you eat, before you eat, just out of curiosity?
So, not sure, but more recently in the past couple of months, I feel like when I eat, no matter what I eat, even if it's clean, like just protein and veg with healthy olive oil, shortly after I'll get extreme itch in my legs. Right, the in my legs, that's something new. I haven't experienced that before. The topical steroid withdrawal was from the waist up. So now it's sort of all over, and it's feeling like a backup of lymph because
Mhm.
when I do things like here, I've got the Essiac tea, I've got a series of herbs, I've got coriander seeds. When I brew these herbs, it feels like there's activity in my spleen area, and then that fluid that's causing the inflammation starts to drain. So it feels like a lot of fluid buildup that I'm always rubbing because it's extremely itchy.
I'm gonna give you a couple things to do, okay, to try one thing at a time.
Okay.
The first thing, and, depending on what you order and arrives first, is, uh Tudka is a type of bile salt that you can take on an empty stomach, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, empty stomach. That has some really interesting, draining properties of the bile ducts around the liver, and there's a huge most of your lymphatics are in your liver. I mean, like, it kinda goes right through there, so you have this lymphatic, immune system, liver connection, so TUDCA can greatly help, uh, in the liver so you can get rid of this systemic type of itch. So that would be the first thing I would try. So, you try it for a few days. If that works, then you know that's the problem. There's some type of, backup. What happens in the liver is when the bile doesn't drain properly, it can back up and into the blood and into the skin, and it can create this, itching. So if you ever look at systemic itching, you know, you'll see a lot of problems with the liver. Well, guess what? The liver makes bile. So there could be something going on with that. And also, TUDCA will help reduce liver enzymes and anything related to kind of like food related things as well. Now, number two, and I would try this separately. If your immune system is compromised from this chronic steroid exposure, which I've done the same thing. You're going to have to use something that's like steroids, but without the side effects, and that would be vitamin D, high doses, like maybe even 30,000, 40,000 IU's a day, and maybe do that several times a week. And
So,
then go ahead.
Dr. Berg, hate to interrupt you. I did order your vitamin D3, and I did see your video where you mentioned to take it. And I think each pill is 10,000 IUDs. I take
Mhm.
like 9 pills and I don't get relief. Maybe 30 minutes of relief, but it's not giving me that same effect that those steroids do.
Yeah, yeah, it's because it's a natural version, and it doesn't work like a drug, even though it's a hormone.
Okay.
Um, so I would, because if you're gonna notice relief, you're gonna notice relief probably within several days. So if you've done that, just kind of take the normal amount, but just put that to the side. But I would go for this TUDCA, and then let's say, for example, for some reason you didn't see results with that, then I would go into and start supporting the microbiome with the gut because I'll guarantee there, if you took steroids like that, it's gonna alter the microbiome, and that's gonna have to just be worked on over time and built up with a really good, strong probiotic that you have to start off very small and gradually increase, so that way it doesn't create an immune reaction. So these are just things to try, okay? Because we don't know, we're this is a mystery, and then worst case scenario, nothing works, come back on because I have some other things you can do, but it's one of those things where, you have to really think outside the box and really kind of try different things that are not you're not gonna find necessarily, on the first page of Google. The advantage that I had just to being in practice, working with all these people, like, they'll give me ideas that they've tried that worked, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, I'll have to try that with the next" person. So, um I think the TUDCA is gonna solve your problem, but let's see if that helps you.
Dr. Berg, thank you so much. I've been seeing doctors for years, and this is the first time anyone's ever mentioned bile or TUDCA. So I'm going to try this immediately. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Sure.
And one last thing, Dr. Berg,
Mhm.
I've started using your shampoo conditioner. Amazing. Thank you for that. Keep doing that.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And thanks for that, Teresa. We will rush the $20 out to you as promised for plugging his new shampoo. That is absolutely fantastic. I'm teasing, of course. But anyway, thanks. And do get back with us, Teresa. We're concerned about you and love to hear that you're getting some relief. So all right, you got it. All right, let's see, Dr. Berg. Why don't we hit up with one of our great quiz questions? And here's the first one for the day.
Okay. Out of all the vitamins and minerals, which one produces the most toxic effect if taken in large amounts?
All right, folks, write this down. You don't want to get itchy for Teresa or whatever, too much of that stuff. So let's see. Why don't we now go to finding out who is with us from around the world? And there's many. So we'd first like to say good morning to all of our viewers joining us from the UK, Canada, Mexico, Jordan, Finland, Egypt, Italy, Serbia, the Netherlands, Dubai, Uzbekistan, Spain, Scotland, France, South Africa, St. Lucie, Lucia, excuse me, Gary, you'll correct me on that later, Poland, Ethiopia, Chile, New Zealand, Armenia, Belgium, the Philippines, the Congo Republic, Malaysia, the Cayman Islands, Guyana, Panama, um, India, Greece, Norway, Paraguay, Australia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Kenya, Bermuda, Bahrain, Bulgaria, uh, Kuala Lumpur, Eritrea, Iraq, Sweden, the Dominican Republic, Oman, excuse me, Albania, Iran, Argentina, the Virgin Islands, Nepal, Taiwan, Ireland, South Korea, Switzerland, Lebanon, Austria, Germany, Aruba, Islamabad, Qatar or Qatar, as you wish, Turkey, Peru, and all across these United States. So thanks everybody around the world for joining in our cumulative effort to enjoy life and be healthy. What better pursuit could there be than that for all of us? So thanks for joining in. And let's see, go to social media finally. Joe Marr from Facebook. What's the best approach to fix acid reflux? Flux.
That's easy. You want to, instead of neutralizing the acid, just take more acid because the sensor on the valve on the top, because acid reflux is really not an acid problem. It's a valve problem. Has a little connection with the pH of the stomach. And so normally the stomach should be very, very acid, 1 to 3. That's like battery acid. So when you lose the strength of that acid, um, a feedback loop comes up and it doesn't close the valve on the top tightly enough, so you can get some regurgitation. So people assume they have too much acid with acid reflux or GERD, and then they start to get rid of the acid. Well, guess what? It'll help you symptomatically, but it does not prevent it from coming back. It does not correct it. So guess what? Next time you eat, it comes back over and over and over. Guess what you're doing over time? You're just weakening the stomach to the point where the symptoms could get worse. If you take a look at some of the side effects of antacids, like one is GERD. Well, I mean, so in other words, it could create the same problem you're trying to get rid of. So you know what? Just don't take my word from it. Just try it and see if it helps you. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work and you can try other things, but it's not that expensive to get some betaine hydrochloride and take that as a supplement to see if that could help you. Um, Take like 5 at a time before you eat. And the only caveat to this is if you take that and you get worse, that means you could have an ulcer, in which case you can't now add more acid because it's going to irritate you. So then you have to kind of work on healing it with chlorophyll. And I have whole protocols. You can look that up on YouTube. But that's what I would try as a kind of a simple no brainer solution.
Very good. Well, answering questions quickly is a no-brainer for our audience because they left on the first one, which asked, out of all the vitamins and minerals, which produces the most toxic effect to take in large amounts? And I'm dying to hear their answer. And their answer is as follows. 70% of our respondents say it's vitamin A, 10% say it's vitamin E, 10% say it's niacin, and 10% say it's iron or copper, the metals. Who's right?
Iron is the worst thing to take in excessive amounts because we don't have real any biochemical mechanism to get rid of iron. So when the cells take in the iron, we have to wait till the cell dies off and then just it gets eliminated through the bowel. So iron in high amounts, we don't need a lot of it, and we can get anemia without of it out of if you're deficient in it. But if you get too much, boy, it can create all sorts of problems. And you never want to take iron when you have an infection because guess what? Pathogens can eat iron. They like it. They can thrive. They actually kind of go into your body. They have all these different mechanisms of stealing your iron. And so we have different mechanisms to prevent them from stealing iron, like lactoferrin, for example. That kind of locks up or binds the iron so the pathogens can't get it. So there's this whole war. This is what one thing like H. pylori that causes ulcers. That's the microbe that it can just kind of like ignore lactoferrin and just grab it if it wants it and then survive. And also cancer lives in iron. So the point is that I would never recommend an iron supplement unless you have anemia. I would not take it as a regular multi because it's so hard to get rid of. And if you do take it, I mean, you have to take very, very small amounts. If you do have anemia, you could take something like liver pills, grass-fed liver pills or something like that, versus the other types of iron that sometimes they're putting it in our enriched in our flours. They put in baby formula. It's in Geritol. Um, I think people assume, oh, fatigue, I need more iron because you think you might have anemia. You might not. And the other thing, there's a whole bunch of people, probably I think it's like 33 million people worldwide that have a genetic problem that they have even a worse problem getting rid of iron. So iron becomes very, very toxic. And the problem is those individuals are also anemic. So they have they get all the negative stuff, they don't get the positive benefits of iron. So the heme, the protein in your blood that carries oxygen, can't get the iron. So these people that have toxic iron are anemic. So,
Wow. Remember Geritol, Doc? And they told most
yes.
people to chug it all the time. I don't know. I wonder if that was a good idea. Who
Yeah.
knows?
A lot of people that are taking iron, they don't know it, but they have a problem, a genetic problem that they have too much. So I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a lot, but there's a significant amount of people who are taking iron that they shouldn't be taking iron.
Okay, listen up, folks. Back to social media. Uh, Boy K69 from Rumble. Would taking spirulina be good to treat rheumatoid arthritis?
Spirulina is a real interesting, super researched thing by NASA that has it's like really concentrated with a lot of nutrients. It's great for a vegan as far as protein goes, and it's very nutrient dense. Um, but I, I mean, you might want to try it, taking it, and see if it helps you. I don't know. I don't have enough experience if that would solve that problem for you or not. It's worth a try.
All right, interesting question. Let's see. Moving on, Drew Maddock from YouTube. What are your thoughts on grounding or earthing? How beneficial is it for us?
I like the concept. I think I bought the shoes that are what do they call them? They're called barefoot shoes, right? Just to be more grounded to the earth. And when I walk barefoot on the grass, man, do I feel much better. So there's definitely something to that. I just don't have enough experience to know all about it. But I've also bought the grounding mats for my mattress. I put that on there. I didn't personally notice any difference, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. But I'm always trying everything. But I guess I think there's something to it. I just don't understand enough to even give you my opinion.
All right, very good. Let's see. Tam from YouTube, is topical application of castor oil safe? I've been using it on my abdomen and under my eyes. I just learned that that contains omega sixes. Should I continue to use it?
Yeah, you should. Castor oil is a really good skin moisturizer, anti-wrinkle, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial. It definitely make your skin youthful, and it's really good to rub into old scars. Um, from having your baby or whatever, and you can put it in. It takes away some of the darker sunspots on your skin, underneath your eyes. It helps eyelashes grow, so it supports your scalp as well. Um, yeah, it does have some omega-6, but it's definitely nothing in the area of some of these other oils that are like corn oil, soy oil. So I would definitely use it, and I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, definitely use it topically.
Okay, let's get on to our next question for the day. And there it is, Doc. True, false, or this time?
Okay, true or false? If gallstones are made out of cholesterol, then a low-fat diet should be advisable. Is that true or false?
Absolutely true. No, I don't know. Go ahead, audience. Climb on that. Let's go back to social media. Ronald from YouTube, what are your thoughts on colloidal silver and its benefits?
Love it. It's great as a natural antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. You can you can dilute it and just put it even in your eyes. Now, of course, I'm going to get probably in trouble by telling you that, so don't. You didn't hear that from me, even though this is on the internet now. But I really think there's a lot of benefit to it. I think everyone should keep some in their medicine chest just in case um, their immune system goes down. You can take it, but I think it's a great natural remedy, and of course, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's been around for a long time. So, of course, that you can't patent it, so it's not gonna be recommended probably by your doctor, but I think what I would do, I would not only look into the research on it, but I would also, and some people might say, "Well, this is not valid," but I would just start reading the reviews on people using it for various applications, and I mean, I go by, reviews too. I think that's valid. People get results. If the majority of people are getting results, I'm gonna try it out. So, I'm not just gonna wait for someone to spend the money for a double-blinded, placebo-controlled trial, which is not gonna happen.
Yep. Okay, people are actually complaining about my volume being too low there. I just brought it up. I'm such a blabbermouth. Can't believe that I would be
Oh, you
perceived
guys
as
would
not.
like that.
Well, I know yeah, here we go. I just brought it up, so hopefully that helps. Anyway, let's consider the fact that the audience answered quiz question number 2 in about 13 microseconds. And it asked, true, false, if gallstones are made out of cholesterol, then a low-fat diet is advisable, and 100% say it's false.
They are correct. Now, it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because, wow, we're gonna be adding more fat, more cholesterol, so therefore it's gonna increase the rate, but it's just the opposite. You see, what triggers the production and release of bile is fat. So, what a stone is, it's a lack of bile, high cholesterol, lack of bile. So, really, what you need to do is increase bile to get rid of stones. And how do you do that? You have to make sure that you have enough fat in the diet to stimulate that production and the release. So, again, I think it's important to understand the whole picture and the concept and the mechanism rather than just, you know, unfortunately, like people look at healthcare as kind of a cookbook type thing where, oh, well, you have cholesterol in the arteries, so therefore that clogs arteries, therefore I need to not eat cholesterol. But plaque is not cholesterol. Plaque is oxidized cholesterol with inflammation. So you have to understand the whole picture.
All right, well, year by year, it's coming clear, thanks to you, Dr. Berg, for all of us. Let's see. Here's an interesting one. Uh, Linda from Facebook, do you have any videos directed at teens who are starting to get interested in improving their own health? I bet you do.
I think I do. I think I do. But the same information applies to adults. Um, but I think the hardest time to try to get someone to change their diet is when they're a teenager. For some reason, they're a little more resistant than when, you know, you're dealing with like a baby that's 1 years old. But I think you just have to kind of keep educating them until they um, it connects. But so, Steve, what I'm going to be doing a video. I'm going to go into someone's house, and we're going to do what's called a refrigerator detox because I can look in your fridge and I can predict what health problems you're going to have. So, I've never found the family that agreed to do it. So I'm going to film this whole thing. I'm going to be surprised. I'm just going to go in there, see what they have in the fridge, and then we're going to go to the grocery store after we shot all the foods that are not healthy into a garbage can, and then replace those. And I think it'll be a good educational video and for everyone. But I talked to several families, and only one was interested for some reason. A lot of people don't want to give up certain things, so you have to at least be willing.
Well, Dr. Berg gave me a surprise trial run at my home. He darted in, and all I had was alfalfa sprouts in the refrigerator and
I
laid
was
it out on the
surprised,
counter.
Steve. You're doing really good. Um,
I just eat like a little bird and struggle along.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's see. Rachel from Vancouver, no, not Canada, but Vancouver, Washington, is on with us next, and she's wants to let those folks up north to know that they had the name first. So hang on, let me bring you on, and I trust you're unmuted. Go ahead with your one question in 30 seconds.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I was diagnosed in 1986, 38 years ago, with HIV. And a lot of us long term survivors have a condition called lipodystrophy.
Mm.
They don't know exactly why this happens. Could be the meds. And so a few years ago, I went on kind of bounce back and forth between keto and low carb. I just feel more comfortable on low carb. And I added intermittent fasting. So I'm doing the 8-16. And I was able to get, I might have mentioned the lipodystrophy is like metabolic syndrome. It's very similar, a lot of the same symptoms, visceral fat, high cholesterol, high triglycerides. But with this diet and intermittent fasting and walking, it brought my triglycerides down to normal from a very high number. My LDL went down, but it's still too high. And I'm wondering, is the triglycerides more important than the LDL?
Mm, great question. Yes, and also realize there's with LDL, you want to understand the particle size. I'm going to do another video on this just because I've like you can never do enough videos on the topic. But if you look at the particle size, if you're eating low carb, you're going to find that your LDL is going to be more large buoyant versus the small dense, and those are not pathogenic. I did several videos on that, but yes, reducing your triglycerides are way more important if you look at the relative differences. Also, you mentioned metabolic syndrome, which is related to insulin resistance, which is probably the most important factor more than LDL or anything else. So, I did happen to stumble on a research paper which is fascinating with this dysfunctional lipids. I'm sorry, lipedema, and it talked about niacin. There's some great data with niacin. I don't know if you're taking niacin, but I would highly recommend start taking it because niacin really helps with all aspects of lipids. And
Yeah, that I have. It's lipodystrophy.
yeah,
It's a
I'm sorry.
different.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
I gave you the wrong thing, but yeah, that's what niacin. If you look up that condition with niacin, you're going to find some fascinating research, and you could start taking that. I would start out with maybe 50 milligrams of niacin a couple times a day.
I don't like niacin
Oh, you
because I
don't like
have I have rosacea.
okay, so
Flushing, no good.
yeah. Okay, so what you can do, instead do the niacinamide. You won't get the
Oh,
flush.
okay.
Um, and then take about 50 milligrams a few times a day in the early part of the day. You'll find you're sleeping better.
Oh,
Um, but guess what this B3 does to your mitochondria and metabolic syndrome? It greatly, greatly helps something called NAD, which basically helps carry these electrons through. So it helps the efficiency and the production of ATP. So you're probably going to find your energy go up, your endurance,
mm,
and your sleep is going to be better too, usually,
oh, I need
especially
that.
the REM sleep. I mean, I'm sorry, the non-REM sleep, the first part, the delta, deep delta wave sleep. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of what you're missing because there are certain genetic diseases involving what you have, and niacin, I'm sorry, niacin or niacinamide could be a potential solution for that.
Can I ask you something really quick?
Yeah.
I'm having coconut oil, a big glob of it in my oatmeal. I know oatmeal's a no-no with you. Is coconut oil, does that increase my cholesterol levels?
Well, I think not in a bad way because there's no cholesterol in animal products. Okay, there's saturated fats, but there's not cholesterol. But here's the thing: the oatmeal could do it, not
Yeah.
the coconut. And so the other thing too, there's some data that I'm going to be getting to other videos that if you're going to do carbs, which I'm not recommending, then you shouldn't be doing saturated fats at the same time.
Ooh, that's probably where I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I have to do omelets from now on.
And the reason for that, I think one of the reasons is that, most people, they're not metabolically flexible, so they can't really kinda go back and forth, to deal with, to metabolize some of these calories efficiently, and so you clog up the mitochondria, you create problems. So, I think 95% of the population has metabolic syndrome where they have insulin resistance, where they can't handle a lot of carbs, and they can't go back and forth between carbs and burning fat. So I think the first step on that is to really go do the good, healthy version of keto for a good period of time before you start experimenting outside that box. You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us, and we're so glad you're one of the many survivors of HIV and you're feeling better. And hopefully, you'll continue up that road to better and better health with a little B3, I think, and other things that Dr. Berg recommended. So thanks again, Rachel. And let's see, let me mute you with all due respect. And let's go back to social media. Chris from Facebook, any advice on what I could do to address constant muscle cramping? All my labs are fine. I am on magnesium and have been tested by a neurologist, and nothing indicates a possible source. Help.
First of all, um, you did the right thing by trying that out, magnesium. And I'm not surprised it doesn't show up on a test because when you get tested, especially in the blood, it doesn't tell you anything what's going on deeper than the blood. Your body kind of keeps the blood as a constant, especially even with calcium. So what you might want to try is there's several other nutrients involved with cramping. Vitamin E deficiency, sodium deficiency, potassium deficiency, and even a calcium deficiency. So if you were to take maybe a, try like more sea salt, see if that doesn't help you. Um, take some vitamin E, and I would do each one at a time, one at a time because yeah, it's not an exact science, but it's at least it's something you can narrow it down to see what gets rid of that cramp, and that would be important to see maybe to get more information to see what could be causing that in the first place. Um, when you go to the doctor, you have a certain complaint. You don't really go there when you're healthy, and then they treat it, right? I like to not do that. I like to kind of focus more on like understanding how your function is in your body. How can we create more health? And taking these clues of cramping, for example, and pulling a string and seeing like, I want to understand like why would you have cramps in the first place? Also, it could be like your body could be too alkaline. That's not very common. So some people that take more like apple cider vinegar with water, all of a sudden the cramping goes away. So these are just things I would look at, but also vitamin E deficiency can create cramping. I have a lot of videos on cramping, um, but you have magnesium, which is the most important because that keeps that calcium from building up inside the cell. So if you have an imbalance of calcium and magnesium, that can create cramping. But those are things, some off the cuff things I would try first.
Okay, very good. We're going to launch our next third quiz question and then start talking about man boobs. So stand by. And here's the question.
Okay, question. What is it about sugar that causes cavities?
Hmm. The audience, I'm sure you have an answer as usual. Okay, now I know you've all been on the edge of your seat about man boobs. ET from YouTube, do you have any advice on how to reverse gynecomastia, man boobs? Thank you.
There's a great remedy for that called DIM. Okay, and that's a concentrated cruciferous that helps to balance out this excess estrogen effect. That's what I would do if I were you, and then also try to isolate what is creating this imbalance. It could be you're consuming way too much soy milk, for example. And now people are going to say, "Well, no, I've read the studies. Soy milk does not cause an estrogen effect." Well, guess what? I have, being in practice, like you talk to people, and you get these people coming in with all sorts of stuff. And check this out. I had a gentleman come in that actually not only had man boobs, but he was lactating. I'm not kidding. And he was drinking literally almost, I don't know, 2 liters of soy milk every single day. So, is that what caused it? Well, I don't know what else. I mean, there was nothing else that he was doing out of the ordinary. So, there might not be a study on it, but that's enough for me to cut down on my soy milk to at least, no more than a gallon a week.
All right, very good. Well, everybody on all the platforms seems to be uh, complaining that they're not hearing me. I can't tell you how that touches my heart. I love to talk and for people to listen. So I'm trying my best to get my dulcet tones out to all of you in TV land or wherever we're at. And but enough about that. Let's go to the green room again. Or no, we already did question 2. So let's go back to green room for our final contestant, if that's what we're calling. And Jabaria, if you would unmute yourself, can't wait to hear your interesting question for Dr. Berg.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks for being here today.
Mhm.
So I have like low fiber neuropathy for over like 3 years now. I've tried like everything, but nothing seems to be helping me. Can I take your nurse support formula? Is that going to help me?
Now, do you have it in your feet or your hands?
Hands, feet, and now it's like in my head as well. I feel like tingling, burning. I have like pain all over my body, and then my sometimes my feet would get numb, my hand would get numb. Like when I'm sleeping, it's like if I sleep on my left side, or like the left side of my body gets numb, heavy, like I can't move.
Can you give me just a really quick idea of some of the types of foods that you eat?
Huh. Every day I eat like wheat bread with some, maybe I would get like some types of um some sort of like meat. I I almost every day eat chicken with some vegetables, rice. That's why
Mhm.
I have like it developed these symptoms like 3 years ago. Um, when my grandfather passed away, like I have a whole bunch of other symptoms too. Like I'm kind of like bedridden now, so I
Okay.
don't.
Okay, so this is I think of what I would do is I would go to my site first and, find out how to do the healthy version of the ketogenic diet, and I would do that with intermittent fasting, so that way you can get rid of, like, the breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes, anything that's, like, grains, right? You get rid of that rice right now because, yes, I think this is definitely probably a pre-diabetic situation. Um, and then, yeah, the benfotiamine product with the nerve formula could definitely support that for sure. You would need to take 4 of those a day spread out because what that will do, that acts as an antioxidant to protect the nerves. It actually helps more blood flow to the nerves, especially if you have like anything wrong with the nerves. You want to take B1, but the problem with with taking the normal B1 is it's water soluble. So there's just not enough to penetrate the myelin sheath into the nerve. So you need something like benfotiamine, which is in that product, that is a fat soluble B1 in higher amounts to help reduce the symptom. Now, but I don't want you just to reduce the symptom. I want you to correct it so that way you can really clear out the excess carbs. I think that's what I would do. And then do intermittent fasting as well, and I think that'll start turning things around for you. Does that make sense?
I mean, yes, that's fine. But my thing is like, what caused it for me? Like, what's causing all these?
Well, what happens when you have these refined carbs or any type of too much carbs in the diet, you develop um, a big deficiency, with B1 because deep inside your cells, you need a certain helper vitamin to allow energy to go through the body. It's called B1. So if you're doing a bit too many carbs without the B1, vitamin B1, you don't metabolize that energy that well. And so what happens, it kind of, and I'm trying to say this very simply, it kind of backs up in the system where you start to you get lack of blood flow to the nerves. It's going to show up first in the periphery, like furthest away from the heart. So it might show up in the eyes, might show up in the hands, but definitely in the feet first. And then it kind of starts going backwards. So when you take a look at someone with peripheral neuropathy, what's happening, their nerves are slowly, not getting oxygen and they're dying slowly. So they actually end up creating paresthesia, burning, pain, tingling, things like that. Um, so benfotiamine gives you the exact nutrient you need to feed those nerves so they can get more oxygen. So they can start to work better. But it's related to diet. It could also be related to other things too, like chemotherapy and other toxicity.
Um,
But
it just turned out that I have had H. pylori for over 3 years now, which was like untreated. Recently got treated, and now it's negative. But I still have symptoms of like all the GI symptoms that you can name off.
well, H.
So
pylori is a
maybe
micro.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that
Well,
gives me some deficiencies like malabsorptions or
well,
whatever, and we.
the treatment, which is antibiotics for that, usually cause also a B1 deficiency. As well as now, you probably never corrected why you had H. pylori in the first place. Mostly, like a lot 80% of the population has H. pylori, but it's in remission. It's not creating a problem until the pH of the stomach kinda gets altered, so to alkaline, and so then it comes out, and then to survive, it produces ammonia, which is very alkaline to survive. So it does has all these interesting strategies. So now that you at least got rid of it, but now you have to acidify the stomach. So I would take betaine hydrochloride, probably 5 of those before you eat, to start increasing the absorption of, protein. Because when you eat protein now, you might not be able to, extract the B12 from it. So some of these nerve problems you might have might also be a B12 deficiency because you're not able to digest protein and extract this B12. So you might want to take also methylcobalamin with that, or maybe even a B complex at the same time because sounds like there's more. What's that?
And methyl. So I also take hydrochloric acid.
No, take
Fi-
betaine hydrochloride, take benfotiamine, and methylcobalamin, which is the B12.
Okay, 1 second, sorry. And then I also have some like orthosis, low blood volume, like all those,
Take a look at my video on POTS, okay? And guess
And
what that is?
I do
That
have POT,
yeah,
but
that's a
my question
B1
is,
that's a B1
is it
deficiency because
neuropathy?
B1, okay, controls the autonomic nervous system. And so what happens when you lose the function of the autonomic nervous system, you can't adapt to stress. So you stand up, you feel dizzy, you're like, whoa. So it sounds like you need a lot of B1. And I would also take a natural form of B1 on top of that just to really help you from all angles. So watch my video, my recent one on POTS. And I think, thank you for your one question.
Yeah, hey, listen, by the way, we're at Jabaria, we are out of time, but we're really rooting for you and hope that some vitamin B and all that will fix you right up. And please do get back with us and let us know how you're doing. All right, let's go to the answers for quiz question number 3 for the day, which was a actual question. Now, the true falser. What is it about sugar that causes cavities? That up for you. 80% of our respondents say sugar contributes to the growth of bad bacteria and biofilms. 15% say it has an acidic impact on the enamel, and 5% say it promotes plaque on and around the teeth. All yucky stuff. What say you, Dr. Berg?
So you're all correct, but what's interesting is sugar itself doesn't cause cavities. It it does is it causes the bacteria to produce an acid that then causes the cavities. So let's say you you can't get one of your kids or whatever to stop eating sugar no matter what. Well, at the very least, make sure that you counter some of that damage by having them use maybe a water pick, floss or whatever. They have those water automatic machines that can really push all this acid out of your mouth after you eat, so you don't have the acid sitting in the mouth for a period of time. Um, and brush your teeth after every time you eat. So that would be something you can actually at least prevent the cavities. Not to mention another cool thing you can do, especially for people that will not give up sugar, is make sure that they take some type of natural antioxidants from food to reduce the complications of high levels of refined, high fructose corn syrup, things like that.
Okay,
Um,
very good.
you know, you have the sugar cane, then you have, like you won't get any cavities if you actually have sugar cane. This is why, like, in certain places where people actually like the whole sugar cane, they don't have problems compared to, um, having the synthetic sugars that they have now, glucose syrup, high fructose corn syrup, which are all made from corn. So, and they don't have the antioxidants to counter the complications and the side effects of that carb. So, um, anyway, I wanted to give you some additional solutions. If you still want to eat a lot of sugar, make sure you have the antioxidants to counter it.
Okay, and if you want to eat a lot of sugar, get a load of this next question.
Okay, how does an infected tooth increase your risk for a stroke?
I'm extrapolating, assuming that a rotted, cavity-ridden tooth would finally get infected. So that was my bridge there. Go ahead, audience, with that. And let's see. Sadao from Rumble, our new broadcasting friend. Would you recommend slippery elm and aloe vera as ways to heal Crohn's disease?
I think those would help for constipation, and they probably could help you with that condition. But I think there's some other things I would do. Glutamine is going to be better for healing the leaky gut. Um, and guess what food has a lot of glutamine? Probably the most red meat. So if you did the carnivore diet, you probably would experience a lot of relief really quick. But for those that can't do it for various reasons, cabbage juice has glutamine in it. So that's another remedy for leaky gut. You could also do wheatgrass juice powder. Doesn't have the fiber in it, but the chlorophyll does help as well. So you have options there.
Well, I remember a lovely fitness instructor, young lady, who had Crohn's, and they kept cutting out more and more and more of her, I guess, colon, and she had scars all over her stomach. She was heartbreaking. It's a terrible disease, I guess is what you'd call that. Let's see. Ventura from Rumble, I took antacids daily for 5 years. Is there anything I can do to detox or repair the damage from consuming excess Tums?
Hey, that was me. I think yes, that would be a yes. So what you want to do, and hopefully you don't have gastritis or an ulcer now. If you don't, then you want to start taking betaine hydrochloride, and you want to kind of slowly work up to it, like take 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5. Um, and mainly if you're losing stomach acids because you just took years of antacids, your big symptom probably is going to be indigestion or maybe bloating or maybe even gas. So you increase that betaine hydrochloride until you can achieve like you're symptom free. And for some people, it might be higher, it's maybe 6 or 7 before a meal. But you'd want to take that over a period of months to really reestablish that acidity, because you're not taking straight hydrochloric acid. That won't work. You have to take the precursors to have your body build up that stomach acid. But don't forget, not that you even knew this. I have videos on it. You can watch those. To build hydrochloric acid, you also need enough sea salt in the diet. You need enough potassium. So there's other factors that can help build up this hydrochloric acid. So I think you can get it back, and I would highly recommend trying to get it back. Um, to get normal digestion. But yeah, I remember taking Tums for years in college, and little did I know I was going in the wrong direction.
Wow. And by the way, the audience wants to make sure that Jabaria recognizes that, yes, hydrochloric acid, which she unwittingly said is not good for you. And so I'm sure she's um, well advised from that. And of course, you didn't tell her that, Doc. She just picked that up. Anyway, no hydrochloric acid.
No, because
Bryce from,
as soon as you start drinking it, you have to get it through the esophagus, and the esophagus is not protected, so you may irritate the esophagus if you drink hydrochloric acid.
to say the least, I imagine. Okay, quiz question number 4 uh, asked, how does an infected tooth increase your risk of a stroke? And the audience, 75% of them said infection can lead to endocarditis or cardiomyelitis, major contributions to strokes. 15% say infection can spread through your blood, and 10% say it can cause an increase in your blood pressure.
Here's another thing to put on your radar just because when you're evaluating, it's important to have all the pieces in the puzzle, and there's one piece, there's a type of, you can have a cavitation or an abscess or some infection underneath the tooth after a root canal. Because when they kinda shave out some of the inside of that pulp, you take away all the little tubules in the, immune system, and you can actually create an infection, and that can be brewing in the oven without any symptoms. But what happens, it leaches out into the the blood supply and the lymph right underneath it and go into the jaw, into the bloodstream, and then now you have this chronic exposure to pathogens. And guess what happens to the blood? You start creating clots. And then if you have a clot in the brain, that's a stroke. If you have a clot in the heart, that's called a heart attack. So they did a study on looking at microbes inside clots in the brain and in the heart, and they find a significant or a significant relationship or association between having microbes that are in your mouth. Like what are they doing in the clot in the heart, right, or the brain? Well, they travel. So there's a certain type of X-ray, I think it's called a 3D cone beam X-ray that a dentist that specializes in this can look around your teeth and spot these cavitations underneath the teeth that you might not be aware of, especially if you had a root canal, and identify it. And there, I think his doctor was a MD, Dr. Mark Levy, I think his name was, did a whole presentation on it. It's fascinating because you think that, oh yeah, all heart attacks and strokes come from this over here, but they can also come from another cause. So it's something to look at, something to be aware of, and put on your radar if you're trying to figure things out.
All right, very good. Brush your teeth and back off the Mountain Dew and see what happens. You'll be stroke free. Doc, here's the last question of the day.
Okay, what's in a lemon that could help reduce the risk of kidney stones?
Don't know, but the audience is going to tell us shortly, I'm sure. Okay, Frank from YouTube. If one has problems with kidney stones, should they be consuming sea salt?
I think they should, and they also should probably drink more water, like 2.5 liters a day. Um, so that would be, and then also to take magnesium as well.
All right. I hope that gets rid of your horrible kidney stones. I've never had them, but I understand it's a gruesome process to get rid of them. Okay, let's see. We already did the gynoplasty. I don't know why I'm focusing on that. Let's see. Bruce from Facebook, what are your thoughts about taking sea buck and thornberry for better stem cell production? There's one out in left field a little.
I don't know. I haven't looked at that. Um, One thing that it'd be good for you if you want to figure things out like that, you can start to really dive into the research and like a puzzle piece and try to scan all the data looking for clues until you find something, a pattern, and then start learning more about that and start pulling a string where you could see if you could figure this out. That's kind of what you, I think, the value of a remedy or a solution um, is kind of like aligns with how deep you researched it and how many answers it or how many solution or questions that it answers, because I think with a lot of researchers, they might just not look at all angles. There's paradoxes and conflicting information that just doesn't make sense. When you find something that fits all those characteristics, it's the most likely truth that you want to follow because unfortunately, there's all these different things that oppose each other in health. You don't know what to do, so then you just have to look at both sides. And I think you should, and usually one side's going to be false because you can't have two facts that conflict. One of them has to be not a fact. It's not based on truth. It's like someone's opinion. So you can't always go by opinion. You have to really see if something is an opinion or a fact, when they tell you, because especially when you get into health and get recommendations.
All right. Well, here's my opinion for GDiff from Rumble. I've watched your videos on how to remove skin tags, but how does one go about removing a tag from the eyelid? I can help. You tie a string around the skin tag, the other to the doorknob, and slam the door vigorously. And there you have it. And do you
No,
have
I
anything
wouldn't
to add
try
to that?
that. No, I wouldn't try that. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would take probably higher amounts of sea kelp just to see if you can't increase the iodine. That is one of the remedies, but take it orally to see if that can help you. But I understand, putting something on your eyelid with a band-aid, that's not going to really work. I mean, you could put a little drop of garlic juice on there, but you don't want to get that necessarily in your eyeball. Not to mention the iodine. Wow, that's a tough one. I think I would just go with the oral application of garlic and sea kelp and see if that doesn't help you.
Okay, good luck with that. And disregard my unmedical advice in this regard. Okay, so the final question of the day was what is in a lemon that could help reduce the risk of kidney stones? And our audience, as usual, has an opinion. In fact, it's 100% opinion that respondents say it's a citric acid in the lemons that can help break down those stones. Are they correct, Guy? I hope so. There's 100%
Yeah,
of them saying it.
citric acid is the compound, and what it does is it interferes with the binding of the oxalate to the calcium, which is most of the stones in the kidney are calcium oxalate stones. So citrates help prevent the binding or the forming of that. So this is why lemon juice is good to take on a regular basis if you're predisposed to getting kidney stones.
Well, hooray for 100% of the audience. They all got it right. And how about we got a minute left? So how about one more? And let's go to our new friend from Rumble. And In It for Love is the person's handle. Can eating chicken breast meat promote higher estrogen levels?
I don't know. I don't know. I think there's hormones in there. I think a lot of the problem with chicken is it's high in omega 6, so that can create inflammation potentially. But I don't know about the estrogen. Um, I'd have to look at that. I wouldn't know one way or the other. On that note, the chicken or the egg, right, Steve? Thanks for your
Exactly.
attention. I appreciate all of your questions. Stay tuned for some even more fascinating videos I'm going to share with you next week. So have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time.